Hi guys, Stuart Bingham here. Joe and Tom from Snooker Loopy Podcast has asked me to do the chorus from the Snooker Loopy. That's our way. As you can see, I can do the Dennis Taylor and Willie Thorne version all in one go. I apologise firstly, but here goes. Snooker Loopy nuts are we, me and him and them and me. We'll show you what we can do with a load of balls and a snooker cue. Put the reds and screw back for the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink and black. Snooker Loopy nuts are we, we're all snooker loopy. Cheers guys.
Hello and welcome to the Snooker Loopy Podcast. My name is Tom Mayhew and I'm joined as always by my very good friend. It's Ken's little helper, it's Joe Hannard!
Good evening, Hazel. Good evening, everybody at home. And welcome back to Tom to the podcast. We've had 2 podcasts without him. He's been on his deathbed. Yeah, you know, you've not seen him since the end of the second round. That's how long it's been since we've seen Tom on the podcast. So more importantly, how are you? Are you feeling better?
I'm mostly better, mate. I was on my deathbed. I was in the hospital listening to Dennis Taylor, like all hospital patients do. I wasn't really in hospital. I was just a bit sick in bed. But imagine if I was actually, that'd be terrifying. But no, I wasn't. I was just a bit under the weather, so I was sleeping a lot and still watching some of the snooker on in the background when I was awake. So I've still sort of kept up to date with what's happening. But yeah, I'm mainly better, just in time for the final, which is lovely.
Absolutely, and you know, it has been a great few days of snooker actually. Some shocks in there, huge shocks, but also some really dramatic moments as well. Obviously, you know, going back to the quarterfinals, and we had a black ball quarterfinal, Tom.
I mean, can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Can you get your breath?
40 years on from the most famous black ball. Yeah, incredible, absolutely incredible. Between 2 of the players who have defined what the Crucible is over the past 25 years, definitely. So yeah, absolutely incredible that I mean the whole match between Higgins and Williams. You know, it looked like Williams had it sort of in the bag. Then Higgins came back and was knocking frame after frame, and you were like, oh god, is he going to do this? Is Willow going to be out? And I'll just say I backed Willow to reach the final in my prediction contest. I've always said he's got a good chance of reaching the final, so I was delighted he beat Higgins. I'm delighted he's in the final.
I'm
delighted that he beat Joe's top pick, Judd Trump.
I know. Well, you know, it worked, I guess. The reverse psychology.
Is this the Joe Hannard curse, as we're calling it now?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, speaking of curses, you were delighted to see the Ding Junhui curse continued. So since the Welsh Open of 2024, Tom, nobody that has beaten Ding Junhui has won their next match. So that curse will continue into the new season and no doubt be broken in the ranking event version of the Championship League, which will be devastating. But it lives on. The Tour Championship curse lives on as well. Nobody that's won or got to the final of the Tour Championship has ever gone on to win the World Championship straight after it. So yeah, quite a few curses living on this year, Tom, and maybe just maybe there'll be another curse to break, or a chance to break the Crucible curse next year.
Well, we're either going to have a brand new champion or the oldest champion, so it's very exciting, I think. And yeah, I mean, let's talk about the semis, because I guess we've not actually chatted about it on the podcast. I mean, Xintong kind of destroyed Ronnie in one session. I think a lot has been made about that because it's the World Championship. There's such like a magnifying glass on it, and people going, "Oh, is Ronnie past it? Is it a changing of the guard? Is Ronnie over?"
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, he he had one dreadful session where he's struggling with his cue and his ferrule and his tip and his confidence. But apart from that session, he would have only have been 2 frames behind. So I think a lot of it is a bit blown out of proportion. Just the fact that he had this abysmal session where he's struggling with his brain, his cue, his confidence, and all these things. And really, like, I think Joe said it himself in his sort of reaction video last night. Ronnie wasn't expected to get to the semis, and because it's Ronnie, everyone thought, oh, he's definitely going to get through to the final. But really, I think he overachieved by reaching the semis this year. So I do feel like not going to be, people writing him off because he's lost, as I said, basically lost one session. I think it's a bit over the top.
I completely agree, and a changing of the guard is a very strange thing to say when Mark Williams is the other finalist. I just think, Ronnie came into this tournament hoping to avoid a 10-0 defeat to Ali Carter. I think deep down he'll probably be quite delighted with how he got there. But I think it says more about the standard of the other players, really, that Ronnie can come into a tournament playing, maybe 80, 75% of his top game and still, won his first 3 matches really comfortably. And actually, as you say, bar one session against Zhao Xintong, he came out fighting last night, and but for one missed red, could have won the opening 3 frames, and all of a sudden, I think it would have been a very different match. But it's all ifs, buts, and maybes, isn't it? I mean, Ronnie obviously lost to Graham Dott. He lost an 8-0 session, I think, in the semi-final, and that was 19 years ago, and I think people were saying he was finished then. So write Ronnie off at your peril. I think, actually, it wouldn't surprise me if Ronnie went and dominated next season and ended up winning his 8th world title in 12 months' time. That's just how erratic Ronnie O'Sullivan is. And yeah, but I mean, don't take anything away from Zhao Xintong. He played really well, didn't he? So
you just have to look at the break Xintong made and the number of 50s, and I think there was about 3 or 4 that was sort of in the 80s. He could have had 5 century breaks in that session. Do you know what I mean? And he was so clinical and really was wrapping it up and taking advantage. And it's part of it is luck of the draw, because I think if it was Judd against Ronnie, they both weren't playing great, and one of them would have scraped through to the final. And then who knows what happens when you're in the final? So it's just the fact that Xintong was on fire, really, and has been on championship.
Yeah.
But he deserved it, Xintong, and I'm glad he's but it's a weird one, because I am glad he's doing well, because I do really like him as a player. But it is slightly, I don't know if I want to say it's tainted. It's just a bit odd, because the whole he's an amateur, when it's like, yeah, but why is he an amateur? And that makes it a bit iffy for me. Even as before the championship, it would be, and especially now, I'm a bit like, oh yeah, it doesn't sit right.
It sort of has an asterisk next to it, doesn't it? It's a bit like Liverpool's 2020 Premier League win, if you like, behind closed doors. It has an asterisk. It feels a little bit off. I'd be entirely comfortable with him winning next year's World Championship. I feel a little uneasy this year, just because he came in as a qualifier, therefore was perhaps match sharp. He would have been in the top 16. Perhaps he might not have even got through round 1 had he done that. And the fact that, as we've said in the past, he's had no ranking pressure. Although now, if he wins it, he'll go up to world number 11, Tom. So, that would be pretty crazy, wouldn't it?
I think he's already guaranteed to be in the rankings now, because he's got so many ranking points that they're just going to put him into wherever he finishes, which is the first time.
I think he's up to about 28. I think I worked out last night. He goes at just above Elliot Slesser, I think, in the world rankings based on his 2 tournaments this year. But
who would have thought that when those two were playing on Judgment Day? It was those two, wasn't it? I think.
Apparently, I I think Elliot Slesser has come the closest to beating Zhao out of anybody in his 7 matches so far, or however many he's played. Fun little fact here for you, Tom.
Hold on. So what we're saying, if Zhao wins the World Championship, he can basically be beat by Elliot Slesser, who could basically get beat by Joe Hannard. So basically, Joe's going to be the world champion. That's what we're saying.
Well, fingers crossed, hey. Little fact for you, Tom. And you've probably seen this. It's been going around on social media today. But a certain Mark Williams and Zhao Xintong played in the first round of the qualifying matches for the 2017 World Championship, the last 144 of that year, which of course Mark Williams didn't qualify. It was 10-7 to Mark in that match, but pretty crazy. Other than when Stephen Hendry and Jimmy White played in the first round of the qualifiers under very different circumstances, have we ever had any other finalists that have played in the first round of the World Championship, the very first qualifying round?
I mean, it's incredibly rare that someone, kind of, like 2 players will go from being in the first round of qualifying to both being at the Crucible, just because there's so few players who make it to the Crucible. And if you look at the players who are in that very first round, often they're in there because they're either amateurs or they're the lower ranked players. So I don't even know, how was Mark Williams in that round? It seems a bit. Was there not? There wasn't a seeded draw, was there?
Yeah. Everybody had to win 3 matches, didn't they? That was the rules for a few years. So everybody had to win 3 best of 19s to get to the Crucible.
Far less likely nowadays. Then nowadays we'd be talking about a potential World Championship final between, something like Rhian Evans and Mohamed Shahab, which I you know what I mean? It's not as likely now.
Or Jimmy White and Anton Kazakov, or whatever his name is. But hey. Obviously, a long time has passed since then. Crazily, Mark Williams went on to win the 2018 World Championship after that. Let's just talk a little bit about Mark Williams. Going into the tournament, he obviously had all of this speculation about, will he wear contact lenses, will he wear upside down glasses, will he wear nothing? He had all this eyesight chat. He'd actually played in the Tour Championship with contact lenses and got absolutely hammered, 10-3, I think it was, after being 3-2 up. So coming in to the tournament, I think people that had been watching snooker quite intently had maybe said, he's not got much chance, other than you, Tom, who backed him to go all the way to the final anyway.
To be fair, I also backed Mark Selby, so I've not got a 100% record.
Yeah. It is just luck of the draw at the end of the day, isn't it? We're not geniuses. But I think when he got drawn against Wu Yize, perhaps people thought, wow, Mark Williams is going to be on his way after round 1. And he's ground his way through this tournament, and actually he's finding his very best form right at the end, which is kind of the opposite to what Judd Trump did, which is what I've been saying all tournament, Tom.
I mean, firstly, we'll say something which we don't say often on the podcast, but I'll say props to Judd. I thought he had a very honest and fair interview after the match. He wasn't blaming, he gave credit to Mark. He said, well, Mark played better than me. He seemed actually quite humble for once, which was nice to see. And
if he was like that all the time, I don't think we would mind him as much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just that occasionally he throws a bit of a hissy fit and is a bit blaming everyone and their dog for why he didn't win. But
I thought he was going to blame it on being cold, because They were whinging about being cold in the morning session, and there was a clickbait headline somewhere of Judd Trump complains to referee as tensions rise in match against Mark Williams. So
I saw, and I clicked on that, and I was like, "What?" And it wasn't. That headline makes you go, "Oh my god, did he complain about Mark cheating?" Or it's like, no, he literally just said to the ref, "Hey, it's a bit cold. Can we turn the heating up?" That's all it was. But I don't know whether he wanted the ref to give him a hug to warm him up. I don't really know what the ref can do in that point. But
well, I did see Rob Spencer carrying a hot water bottle for Judd Trump.
Well, there we go, mate. There we go. But yeah, but he did also, Judd, say in that post-match interview, he specifically said he thought he peaked too soon, which is exactly what Mr. Hannard has said. So, hey, who knew that Judd and Joe were so similar all along?
Well, exactly. Maybe he's been tuning into the Snooker Loopy podcast. So, hello, Judd, if you're watching.
Evening, Judd.
Evening, Judd. Evening, everybody at home. There's so many funny interactions I've had with people because people know that I'm a bit of a snooker anorak, if you like, and so many people have been saying, "What's Judd short for?" Is Judd wearing a wig? Has been my best one this week, which I find absolutely hilarious because we've talked about Judd Trump's hairline in the past on this podcast. That one made me laugh. That one.
I don't think he's wearing a wig. I think he's probably gone to Turkey and had some very good treatment, to be fair. Which, hey, do you know what I mean? If you've got the money, you want to do it, no judgment. So, yeah.
I think Tommy should go for the beanie hat approach like you. That's what he should do.
He should do, yeah, absolutely. I think more people should do that. I think he can have his logo. Mark Williams can do it with his MW beanie hats that he sells on his website. So, not enough players accessorize. I've said this, since Paul Hunter, I've not seen anyone with a headband or anything like that. I want more players to have earrings in, or I think Stephen Hallworth's got like a ring in his nose or something. So maybe he can.
Oh, I see.
I think so. But yeah, I want more people like that. I want more people with stuff going on that makes me go, oh.
Yeah, well, we will see. But talking about that match, I mean, I don't know how much of the early part of the match you saw, Tom, but Mark Williams was 7-3 down, and Judd Trump had a red a red or a black to the middle pocket. I think he was in to possibly go 8-3 up, missed the black. And actually, there was a big feature, I thought, of early in the match of Mark Williams losing frames he should have won. And that seemed to be the first time that Judd lost a frame that he should have won, and that just completely turned the match on its head.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I only saw it from the I saw the final two sessions basically. So I saw pretty much all of that when they were after it was 5-3. I saw the whole match. And the strange thing about Williams is because we said about his eyesight, but I feel like he always goes, "Oh, I can't see the scoreboard over there," but it's like his short range eyesight must be fine because he's cueing fine, he's hitting the ball fine. So maybe it's just far-sighted, he can't see as clearly. But really, if you focus on a cue ball which is this far, that was officially Mark Williams' fault. A little bit of physical comedy for
we got a bit of demonstration going. I usually have me Ding Junhui demonstration going on. You're doing a bit of Mark Williams jiggery pokery there.
Yeah, if your jiggery pokery is only this far away, then maybe your eyesight doesn't have to be as good, and it's absolutely fine to not need glasses because your jiggery pokery, it's only a few inches, so you can actually see where the ball is, and you can see where you're pointing your cue, and you can see whether those Mark Williams balls need cleaning or. I was looking at the Mark Williams store earlier. You can get a Mark Williams ball holder, so that's nice.
Well, there you go. I mean, yeah, if you want your balls held by Mark Williams, then that's exactly how you go about it. But no, it's funny you should talk about his eyesight because that would typically stop the long pots. And his long pot percentage has gone up and up and up throughout the tournament. I think it was near on 70% in the match against Judd Trump, which is about right. I think 7 out of 10 is exactly what you want. And he knocked in some absolute crackers. I actually watched Mark Williams live in the arena against Hossein Vafai, starting off his second round match. And I noticed in particular his long potting wasn't anywhere near. So it seems to have been a thing that he's got more confident with throughout the tournament. And I think at the start of the tournament, he was very much in his own head about his eyesight. And I think that's why he really struggled in his first two matches. But as he's grown in confidence, that seems to have gone to the back of his mind. And he seems to have settled right down now, and I think he'll be quite confident going into the final, because today he played absolutely outstanding. They went in 8-all, of course, coming into today, and Mark Williams has won. What is it, 9-6? So he's won quite comfortably in the end, and it could have been a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really nice, we should say, props I think to both Mark and Zhao, because both of them. I mean, Zhao's his post-match stuff with Ronnie and getting the crowd,
it was fantastic.
Ronnie, and
yeah,
he's very kind words, very humble as well, and seemed very just sort of down to earth and very just a bit normal, which is really lovely to see. And then Mark also in his post-match interview was he seemed very laid back. He was sort of making a few jokes here and there, but you could tell he actually was excited and really happy, because often he's so sort of stony faced, but it was nice to see him actually clearly going, bloody hell, how have I done that? So it was quite nice that both finalists are very humble in their achievements and very much, appreciative of the fact that, wow, how have I done it? I'm in the final. And I think that means it will be a good final played in very good spirits, as Rob Walker will no doubt say 50 times.
Absolutely. I was thoroughly impressed with Zhao Xintong and the way he came across in the interview, and particularly in his second language, to come across that well, and what he was trying to say wasn't simple. So I thought that was really, really good to see. And Mark Williams actually admitting he got nervous for once, which is crazy, isn't it? And you could tell, there was a black and it nearly missed. It wobbled, knocked 3 times, but knew the password, as John Virgo would say. But that, it was fabulous to finish off with a century. And yeah, I think it will be a great final. I think it's going to be one for the ages. And hey, it may well go down to 17-all, final black. How amazing would that be? Considering, Tom, I don't know if you know this, but because they didn't have a session this afternoon, and WST do not issue refunds to anybody, by the way.
Which everyone is delighted about, definitely.
They're all delighted about.
Yeah.
They did an 1.5-hour exhibition of Steve Davis and Dennis Taylor, which I was gutted they didn't televise, because, of course, they did that back in 2010, didn't they?
I think having that on the actual Crucible stage I wouldn't want a refund. I'd be delighted with that, because it's them actually at the Crucible reenacting it live. I think that would be incredible.
Yeah. Well, I guess the problem is, Tom, is that a week and a half before the tournament, they also did it at the Crucible for 45 quid or something. So a ticket. I think that's perhaps the issue that people have got. A ticket to the semi-final is about 140 quid. So
they could have just done it 4 times.
What I didn't...
Come on, Dennis, let's do it again. They play the frame again.
What I didn't like about it is that they played that exhibition. It would have been nice if they'd maybe got JV to do some of his trick shots, or some of his impressions. They could have done a load of different things. I mean, they did when there was a session finishing early when Ronnie and Luca both won within 30 minutes or something. They did a version of Big Break. They had 3 players playing, so but I just wish these things were televised. Snooker was due to be on BBC One this afternoon at 2:00, and I actually think they could have got away with televising Steve Davis and Dennis Taylor's exhibition, and call it celebrating 40 years of the Black Ball final. I think it would have got in people that possibly don't know a lot about that final, because it was 40 years ago. It was before our time. We know a lot about it, of course, but that there will be lots of snooker fans out there that don't really know the history behind it and how special it was.
It would have made perfect sense to have something televised that is about that final, considering a lot of the sort of legendary status of that final is because it was televised and it was the after midnight and it was the high ratings, and so it would have been a perfect opportunity to go, let's have a program based on that. But yeah, I mean, generally, I don't think I don't know whether it's WST or BBC Snooker. I'm not sure who, but I think their whole there's so many things that I think they could do more in terms of their sort of what they provide people. Like they could have, as you say, televised that. They could have at least put like the big break thing. They could have put it online, and then it would show there's a demand for that, and could help bring it back. The whole show,
or just put it on the red button. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be on BBC One. We're not asking necessarily for that. But just give people a chance to watch it. We like us as the viewing public are diddled out of sessions as well when it finishes in half an hour. So it would be nice for us to be able to watch it. And I mean, but what I found absolutely baffling today, Tom, is that obviously Hazel was due to be presenting the afternoon semi-final coverage, and yet they just didn't use her today because they had Rishi booked in for the morning and they had Seema booked in for the evening. I was just completely baffled that they didn't have Hazel in for this evening. It sent social media into a bit of a frenzy about they're trying to push Hazel out and all of that, which of course isn't the case. They're just
they're trying to promote new diverse voices, which is a good thing. But it's something. One, that is definitely a good thing, and I'm all on board for that. I do think if you want someone who's a top quality presenter for the later rounds, Hazel is better than any of the rest because she knows the sport and the players and the game inside out. And someone who's only been presenting it for 2 or 3 years would do. That's just logic.
Yeah. And not only is Hazel the best presenter for snooker that there's ever been, I actually think she is currently the best BBC presenter, full stop, for any sport. I think she has hit that level now where, I think people would possibly argue Gary Lineker, but I think he's maybe gone off the boil a little bit more recently. Like Hazel is absolutely at the top of her game, and I can't name anybody doing a better job than Hazel at the moment on the BBC.
Bradley and Barney Walsh on Gladiators.
Yeah. No, not for me personally, but Bradley's just on too many things at the moment, Tom. Blankety blank the chase, beat the chasers, I
guarantee, and it's depressing, but it just shows the state of a lot of TV nowadays, that they would try and get him for big break, and you just go,
absolutely.
No, get someone new, please, get someone different.
Yeah.
You can't have the same people on all the shows. You want different people. You don't want them to go, all right, it's between Bradley Walsh or Stephen Mulhern. You go, no.
Yeah,
they don't know anything about snooker.
I mean, they've ruined Deal or No Deal, Tom. We can't have Big Break ruined as well. It's, I think just somebody like a Richard Osman or something like that, somebody that we know is into snooker. I think he would work quite well as a presenter, and then you could have JV as the snooker player guy, or somebody like Crafty Ken, I honestly, or Sean Murphy. Any of those would do a great job. You could even have a sort of rota of different players doing it. I absolutely
have Dominic Dale as the sidekick.
The problem is, I think Dominic Dale is too much of a Marmite character to do that sort of role, in my opinion, anyway.
Oh, but that's why it'd be beautiful, because some people would go, "Who on earth is this bloke?"
Yes, he'd be like, "I'm Dominic Dale from Coventry, not Wales."
Oh, and here's my pointless friend, it's Richard.
And here's my pointless friend. It's Richard Osman, and he's had a few cues in his time, hasn't he?
He would say that. Look at the camera, right? Raise his eyebrows. Then Richard would just go like, What?
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, looking forward to the final over the next couple of days. Obviously, best of 35 frames. We got the first 8 frames coming up later today as this comes out at 1:00, and then always a cracker is the evening session of the first day. 9 frames. Somebody is guaranteed a lead overnight, and something always happens, I think, in those last 5 frames after the mid-session interval, and it's usually those last 3 frames that are so important on who wins the World Championship. So it's going to be cracking all the way through, and I honestly can't wait for it, Tom. It is going to be pure theatre, I think, coming up over the next couple of days.
I completely agree. It is a final that I'm really excited about. I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it will be. It's 2 players who've played. They probably are the best 2 players of the championship overall. I would say. So it's really
along with Judd, I think, and Chris Wakelin probably.
Well, and Luca for 1 match. Do you know what I mean?
For 1 session, yeah. That's 7-1 against Ding.
And Zach Surety for his match. He was very good.
Oh, and Daniel Wells.
Oh, and David Lilly in qualifying, he was good.
Oh, and Jimmy White in that final frame. Yeah.
Really, Jimmy
flying
should
in
be in the final.
practice. Yeah.
He was flying.
But Tom, if I have to push you, right, best of 35, who wins and what's the score?
I mean, I have to go for it being a Black Ball final just because it'd be magical. And I think, in my head, I'm just going, who would it be funnier to watch going? Because I hope whoever wins it just copies the Dennis celebration, holds their cue up, waggles their finger, and I think it would be funnier to watch Mark Williams do that. So I really hope that he wins, he does that, and it's you know, him getting his another world title would be astonishing, especially even though, do you know what I mean? I think would be amazing, and we always want the class of '92 to go and to win and to, you know, still be there and winning for the next 10 years if possible. If they managed it, we would. If they managed it, we wouldn't mind, would we? But part of me will be a bit sad to see Ray Reardon lose a record because he's probably not got many left, and that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, but also in Mark Williams winning the World Championship in the first tournament since we lost Ray Reardon and Terry Griffiths, I think there's got to be something special about that.
As a player from Wales as well, definitely that would be.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and that's the way I see it, and you know, I think it'll mean a lot to Mark. I'm gonna agree. I think Mark Williams. I'm gonna go 18-15. I think it's gonna get quite close, but don't think we're quite gonna get that black ball final. But I really hope we do, because Mark Williams actually is the only player to win 2 deciders at the World Championship on the black.
Really?
There's a little stat for you. So he won his first ever match. I believe it was against Terry Griffiths, 10-9, first round 1996. He won that on the black. And then he's beaten John Higgins 13-12 on the black as well in the quarterfinal. So
what a gap between those two as well. Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
But imagine if he does it in the final. You know, that'll be 3. No, surely nobody will beat that record. No,
I mean, yeah, we'd need another 100 world championships probably to get close. So
yeah. Really exciting for all of that to come up. And of course, after the World Championship, we will have our big World Championship review. I don't know whether we'll do one halfway. We might do, depending on what happens on the first day of the World Championship. We might feel like we have to talk about it because there's been 5 147s or something crazy like that. But if not, we'll be back in a couple of days to do that. But yeah, let's get on to our usual segments, Tom, I suppose. And what do you want to start with? We've got 3 segments. We've got Fanjeng Email. We've got Cue the Laughter, Cue the Music. What would you like to do, Tom?
I think let's start with Cue the Music. because
Okay.
this has been one we've teased earlier in the championship, and I do have one audience submission as well, but we're not going to do that today. So if you're that listener, don't worry, I've not forgotten you. We will do you probably.
Well, maybe do tomorrow, because I'm sure we will probably do one to talk about the start of the final. If not, we'll do it in the review.
But today, Joe, is it's exciting. This one. This is the B-side to perhaps our most loved discovery from Cued Music, which is Everlasting Love.
Everlasting Love. I mean, yeah, it's also is it the third version of Somewhere? No, it's the second version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, isn't it? And would you like to tell us a little bit about this and how you came about this record, Tom?
I'm hoping it'll be the first good version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. But yeah, I found the record on a website. I got my friend to rip the songs from it, and yeah, it's Joe Johnson, his band. What are they called? Made in
Japan, yeah.
Made in Japan. That's their band, and it's, their cover of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which at the moment it's not available anywhere. So this could be us putting it on this podcast. Could be the first time it's been broadcast in history. Who knows?
Well, it's
it's
a
not
world
online
exclusive, Tom. A world exclusive.
Never before heard, apart from by the 100 people who bought Joe Johnson's record back in the day. This. I don't know how many people bought it. I'd love to know. He probably doesn't know or care, but I'd be just. The nerd in me wants to know the stats behind it. I want to know, how many did you sell? Like,
we'll track down the other members of Made in Japan and hope they know.
who are the other? Oh, I want to find out who they are. It could be like John Virgo or someone weird. I've no idea. Like
John Virgo or someone weird. So shall we get into it, Tom? Joe Johnson, Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
dare to dream, they really do come true.
Well, there you go, Tom. There you go. Absolutely brilliant, to say the least. Joe Johnson, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I think it started off very slow and we were thinking, oh, God, if we've got 4 minutes of this, this is going to take a lifetime. But then The Rock kicked in good old Made in Japan style.
Yeah,
and they put their own spin on it, didn't they?
They did. It was great. It was upbeat. I was terrified it was going to be a really slow ballad for the whole thing, and it was going to be earnest and probably send me to sleep. But luckily, as you say, it came in, boom. It had the Joe Johnson magic. Here we go. Him singing about being over the rainbow. He didn't quite hit the big note at the end. He kind of slightly bailed out of it, but it was still very good effort. I wish I could sing it that well. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, for a snooker player, he's done a great job, and it just makes me think, why didn't Stephen Hendry sing that as part of Stephen Hendry's rubbish? So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the big question all snooker fans will be asking.
Exactly. So, Tom, big question. Is it an improvement on Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Alex Higgins' great niece?
Oh, absolutely. It's far better. This is someone who knows how to sing.
Hello to Alex Higgins' great niece, who's a big fan of the podcast, of course.
I mean, no, actually, this one would have been improved a bit if it started with Joe Johnson going, "This is for my good friend Alex. You were the greatest." I would have loved it if Joe had just said that out of the blue.
Yeah, I can't imagine them two getting on weirdly. But sad news, Tom. Joe Johnson's not playing in the World Seniors this year.
Why? Is it because he's going on tour? Can we go
Possibly.
see him live?
He may well be. He may well be. But yeah, there you go. So that is Made in Japan, or Joe Johnson, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Now, of course, we've had two versions of Everlasting Love in the past. We had the revisit, which got a perfect 10 from both of us. And the original, listen to that, got 8 from both of us. So where does it sit for you, Tom?
Well, there's a reason it's a B-side. It's not as good as Everlasting Love. I wouldn't put it in the same stratosphere as that. I'd still say it's decent. It's still good. It's still, in terms of songs released by snooker players, it still is someone who can sing. I guess it's a bit of a shame though that he's not gone for at least one of the songs being like an original song about snooker. That could have been kind of feel like we've missed out on his version of 147 or something like that.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah. That's a bit of a shame for me. It's 2 covers, so maybe I'd knock it down a bit. I'd still give it a decent 7, I think, for that. I think just because I would have preferred it to be the original song about him and his triumph or something like that. But again, perfectly listenable. It would be part of a playlist if it was on Spotify. So if anyone knows Joe Johnson, please tell him to re-release this record and maybe go record another song, maybe a whole album. Just do it, Joe. Come on.
Yeah, we need him. We need him to do that, don't we? You never know. He might do it one day. He might do a comeback.
It'll be the 40th anniversary next year. Come on, Joe. You got to do it.
Come on. So I'm gonna give it. I think I'm gonna give it a 7. What did you give it, Tom?
I gave it a 7 as well.
A 7 as well. There you go. So that gives it a perfect 7, if you like, which puts it just about mid-table, along with Snooker Loopy by Snooker Looper by Stuart Bingham. So there you go. It also, unfortunately, puts him below Green Grassophone by Dominic Dale, Man's Long Pot by Peter Devlin, and perhaps most embarrassingly, My Old Man's a Dustman by Stephen Hendry's Rubbish.
I mean, sometimes when you say it, I just go, this list is nonsense, because, like, objectively, I'd rather listen to Somewhere Over the Rainbow than Man's Long Pot or Stephen Hendry singing his rubbish, but for whatever reason, that's how it's happened. So.
Well, that's the beauty of this format, Tom. The song about Hazel Irvine is down in 48, while Stephen Hendry's Rubbish, Let Me Entertain You, is up in 19.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry. So sorry, Joe Johnson.
Yeah. Any chance that he is going to come on the podcast has just been lost in that moment there. But thank you very much for that, Tom. Thanks for tracking that down. We've been wanting that for a long, long time. So, yeah, thank you very much for that. And, yeah.
Just remember that I commented on the video that was his granddaughter saying, do you have his version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow?
You did, yeah. And now you do. Now you do.
She never responded, so, you know.
Wait until we've got it uploaded to our channel, Tom. Just you wait.
Yeah, she'll be right there with a copyright strike going, no.
Yeah, I know.
Don't share this.
But anyway, thanks for that. Shall we do some Fanzheng email before we get into Cue the Laughter? So, it's been a couple of days since we've done it, of course. We've had a few in there, Tom. We've got one from Bernie, our friend from New York, who says, since I'm new to your podcast, I heard you say you can't stand Trump's game. Can you elaborate? So, Tom, you start.
Oh, I feel like I'm going to get so tired of this question because everyone asks it.
They do,
Why
yeah.
do these guys not like Trump? Is it something personal? And it's just like, it's not like we bumped into him and he told us to F off. Do you know what I mean? It's just not a backstory like that.
Although I'm sure if we did bump into him, he might well say that. Evening, Judd, if you're watching.
Yeah. But I think he's not the kind of personality I warm to. He's quite an arrogant person and quite cold, and so I find it very hard to like people like that. I find it very hard to sort of get on board and relate to people who are that sort of confident and that sort of openly talking about how they think they're already the best ever, and when he said, me and Ronnie are the best too, blah, blah, blah. He's just said so many things over his career that have just made me go like, oh, shut up, mate. Do you know what I mean? I just don't...
Yeah, well, when he's got one world title at the end of the day, and that's what he will be defined on. And I think it's only Judd fanboys and probably Judd that will say differently.
I just think it's when it's... I don't mind someone being a bit cocky and arrogant. Maybe when he first came through and he was 21, fine, I get it a bit. But do you know what I mean? There was a point where you kind of go, oh, you should stop this now because you should maybe learn from that time you said, I think I'm the best player in the world and no one's close to me. And then you lost to Rory McLeod. You should maybe learn from that and maybe go, actually, I shouldn't talk myself up too much because it's going to slap me in the face. But to not learn from it and still always talking. He said things like, I think I'm going to be the player who's got the most centuries ever and the most ranking titles ever. And if someone says that, I just think, can you like that person and go, oh yeah, that person seems like someone I'd want to root for? Because you don't. Because someone sets themselves up as, I'm the best thing ever. I want to see them get knocked down. That's just in my how I see the world. So that's my main beef with Judd. Like, he's a very good player, very, very decent game. Yeah, I'm not going to say he's a bad player because that's not true. Obviously, he's very good, but just think he hypes himself up a bit too much, and also in terms of his legendary status. His Triple Crowns, he's not won enough to justify that. And, I think by his age, Selby had probably won at least 3 world titles. So, I think Seamer at some point today said, "Oh, do you think Judd's, the closest we've had to the class of '92 since then?" And I was like, "No, Selby. Don't overlook Selby. What are you on about? Do you know what I mean?" So I think, when he's
well, he's won roughly the same Triple Crowns, if not the exact same as Sean Murphy or Neil Robertson. For me, he's more on a par with those players for now. If Sean Murphy and Neil Robertson won their world titles in an era where there was as many tournaments as there are now, they'd probably have not similar numbers of ranking events to Judd, but certainly more than they currently have. And Neil Robertson is actually very close to where Judd Trump is, isn't he? So, I think him and Selby aren't too far behind Judd's ranking title count. But, we've talked about it a lot of times, haven't we? And I'm sure we'll continue to be asked about it. But, that some players people love, some players don't love. Lots of people hate Sean Murphy. We absolutely love Sean Murphy. Ronnie is a very much a Marmite character. People like Ali Carter. I think maybe both of us not so much with Ali Carter. It's just, and each to their own, really. But I feel like with the Judd Trump, we get a lot of the Judd Trump brigade, I like to call them, Tom, that come along and are like, well, how dare you not like Trump? And I actually don't think he's anywhere near as popular as people would make out.
Well, no, he's. I think maybe that's part of the problem is that, in the way he sort of sells himself and sees himself, he thinks he is modern day Jimmy White, whereas really Jimmy had a likability and a charm that Judd's not got. And that's just how Judd is, and he's not got that. And so, I don't think Kyron's got massive charm either. Do you know what I mean? I think both of them are a bit wooden, and they're not as warm as some of the characters of the past, or even some of the other players playing right now. So
I get what you're saying about Kyron there, but actually he's done a lot of silly things online, a bit like Stuart Bingham-esque, with all the TikTok dances and doing silly sketches like breaking mirrors before defending his world championship. And I think Kyron's got a decent sense of humor with that sort of thing. Again, somebody that's a bit misunderstood, perhaps, but there'll always be players that you like and players that you don't like. That's sport, and ultimately, if sport didn't have favourites and villains, then what would sport be?
Well, and Kyron's a lot more grounded because he's got a wife and he's got young kids and he's got a lovely kind of family dynamic, whereas Judd moved to Hong Kong to pay less tax, and do you know what I mean? That's not really a personal bit of information.
Here we go. Here we go. Here comes politics, Tom.
He said they asked him. They did a quick fire question thing once. And they said to him, Corbyn or Boris, and he said Boris. And I was like, nah, mate, we're not going to get on. We're just not going to click. Do you know what I mean? This is
Oh dear. Right. Anyway, Bernie also said, do you care for and follow straight pool? It shares a lot of similarities with snooker. The game is very popular in the northeast of America and Germany. The break-off is almost identical. If you aren't familiar with it, I urge you to investigate and let me know what you think. I was curious, did you ever witness or hear about people scalping tickets for the finals and paying, say, $20,000 or more? Yeah, but I'm not sure I've heard a lot about the scalpers.
no,
at the
I'm
World
not.
Championship. There's certainly not that much. I think there are some scalpers, definitely. And there will probably be tickets that sell for 4 figures if somebody like Ronnie is in the final. Maybe because Xintong is in the final, there might be a few Chinese fans that want to get in there and are willing to pay the money. Perhaps. But yeah, I've not heard of that. I've not heard of straight pool either, Tom. Don't know about you.
I mean, I know what pool is. I've played pool. I used to have a pool table when I was a kid. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
You know, a few.
No, I'm familiar with 8-ball pool and 9-ball pool.
Yeah. So I
and
know
a bit
them.
of Chinese pool, but not much else.
I think what we love about snooker is both the sport, but also the culture, and the culture is very British. It's also very steeped in the history of the UK generally, and it's got that kind of charm to it, which
a
lot of pool stuff I see is very American. It's very it's like one year in the shootout they had all the players coming out with attractive young women on their arm, and I don't want to see Nigel Bond with an 18-year-old walking down some stairs. Do you know what I mean? So I think a lot of pool seems more Hollywood and more like that, so it's inherently puts me off a bit. But I don't. I'll play pool. I'll play pool at the pub. I'm not against it as a sport, but in terms of following it, I've never really cared.
I used to quite like playing pool on the old World Championship snooker games. And my interpretation of what straight pool might be is that one where you have to sort of sequentially go through. So you have to play the 1-ball, then the 2-ball, all the way up to 14, is it? Something like that, maybe. So that might be.
Get 3 points and the third ball and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
is that one?
I'm not entirely sure. That might be.
Me and Joe, we'll have to go away and we'll have to find a game where we can play pool together online, and that will happen. Me and Joe will learn it that way. That's how we'll learn it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But no, thanks for your emails, Bernie, and we will check out some straight pool. I'm sure, and certainly over the summer, I think we've got a lot of plans to sort of mix it up and try and focus on the gaming side of it a little bit. And there's a lot of pool on those old games, so I'm sure we'll check those out for all those pool fans out there. So thank you very much, Bernie. Keep listening. We have also got a fan Zheng email from Brian McGovern. Hi, Joe and Tom. Greetings from Ireland. Loving catching up with the episodes on this Thursday morning while I wait for the action to continue later today. Keep them coming. Brian McGovern, thank you very much, Brian. Really appreciate it. And we have podcast favourite Archie Smith getting in touch again. He says, "Dear both, hope Tom is feeling much better and hope he will get well soon."
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Well done on hitting 400 subscribers. It's an incredible achievement and you should be extremely proud of yourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I thought Xintong played some of the best snooker ever seen at the Crucible to beat Ronnie with a session to spare. In particular, the whitewash in the second session, and I do think his performance has been overshadowed by Ronnie's tip issues. I certainly agree. We sort of talked about that before, didn't we?
It's basically, whoops, hold on, edit point there.
It won't get edited, don't worry, Tom.
Right, okay, but that's basically what we've said already. Just get him a charger, and now it's all gone to pot.
Oh, it's all right, Tom. I'll keep reading. As I write, Williams is 13-11 up on Judd. I really hope Marks get through, as I think Williams Xintong final would be an absolute cracker. Well, you got your wish. And finally, well done, Joe, for managing on your own, because it's been incredibly hard. It is incredibly hard to run a podcast by yourself, particularly when you've had a good friend doing it with you for nearly 2.5 years. Well, absolutely, but. Luckily, it is something that I'm used to doing quite a lot anyway with my daily YouTube content. I am just, I guess, I commentate on things all the time, and trust me, Archie, you guys in the chat really helped out with that as well, and keeping the conversation flowing.
And actually, I think it could be a good thing for something we could do in the future, because I quite like the fact that you could. We could do like a live one like that, and we can sort of have live reactions to cue the laughter or cue the music. Or
yeah.
Back to the listener. So I think that's definitely something we will look to do. Yeah, not too regularly, because I think this format works, but we'll definitely do it at times, and there could be Q&As and general snooker chat. I think it's quite a nice idea.
Yeah, I think, I keep sort of referring to over the summer, but I think we will experiment with a lot of different content on the channel. And, I think last summer we both were very busy with personal lives and whatever, and we maybe didn't get as much content out, but I'm sure this year we will we'll manage to get a lot of stuff out, while you're waiting around in Edinburgh Fringe and all of that, just twiddling your thumbs.
I mean, Zhao, if you've forgotten, you're literally getting married this year. You're like, I love plenty of time.
Be fine. It'll all be good. It'll all be good.
I have no personal stuff, just my wedding, but it's fine. It doesn't matter.
It'll be fine. We have had a few comments as well, just to catch you up on those. We have had Stealthy Carper. Saying, Joe, it's funny you should mention that about Judd and pressure situations. I've said for a long time now that when there's a decent gap, either behind or ahead, he's fine, but when it's close, I wouldn't bet on him. He also said, get well soon, Tom. Mr. Dog said, good evening, Hazel. Good evening, everybody at home. I love how that's become a thing. It's fantastic. Even Dennis Taylor says it.
Yeah, he's copying you now.
Admittedly, I'm only a layman who only plays for a bit of fun, but changing the ferrule sounds like an unnecessary extra variable to add to things when you are already struggling with rhythm and feel. Maybe he's got in his own head on this one and thought it would somehow magically make him play better. I'm assuming it was a voluntary change. I didn't hear anyone say it was damaged. Even if you feel you were playing better with the brass one than the titanium one you switched it out for, you've already been playing with and adjusting for the titanium for weeks. Going back requires a time period of adjustment, whoever you are. Choosing to do that in the middle of a match, especially one as important as the World Championship semi-final, seems an odd decision. I wonder if Jimmy tried to talk him out of it at all. I think ultimately Ronnie is Ronnie. Ronnie has it in his head that he isn't playing well, and he can't find the answers to it. I do think a lot was made of it. I think the 8-0 session could have happened either way. Whether he changed the ferrule or not, and actually came out in the evening session and played certainly equally as well as Zhao Xintong. So, it's a strange one, isn't it, Tom? But I think it's one that'll be very quickly forgotten about after the finals being on there. But I guess it was a bit of a strange decision, but I think it actually showed Ronnie cared. He wanted to try and make himself play better. He was actually there on the evening session while Mark and Judd were playing, and he was practicing, which you don't often see that from Ronnie. So I guess I was impressed in a way at all of that.
It is just one of those that if it worked, you'd go, what a genius decision. If it doesn't work, you go, why did he do that? But you can't really know probably until you try it. And if he wasn't fully confident in the first session, it makes sense to go, how can I fix this? And how can I become more confident? And, that's just the way it happened. But I think, as you said, I've got a feeling that Xintong would have won anyway.
Yeah.
I think he must be more match sharp just generally because he's played more matches in the past bloody 2 weeks than Ronnie's played in 6 months. So I just think generally he just would probably have won it. It might have been a bit closer, but
yeah, I mean, Ronnie could have won a couple of frames in the morning session. It would have made it 10-6 going into the evening, and then maybe if Ronnie wins the opening 2 frames like he did, 10-8. Different match, perhaps, but it probably would have went to a 4th session. I think that's the only thing that would have been different. But I think over the 4 sessions, Zhao just would have had too much for him based on what we seen from him yesterday. Perhaps the overnight break might have broken Xintong's rhythm, and Ronnie could have come back today. We'll never know. Ultimately, Xintong is in the final. And I know somebody that was gutted about it all was Matt from Middlesbrough, who was in the crowd for both the morning session and evening session yesterday. And he was so excited to go and see Ronnie O'Sullivan, who is his idol. And I think he was a bit broken by how Ronnie played yesterday, and a bit gutted about that going the way it did.
If anyone knows Matt, could you go around his house and give him a hug, please? Because he also had Middlesbrough just missing out on the playoffs, so he's had a dreadful weekend. So someone just give him a hug, make him a cup of tea, remind him there's next season, and he's going to be all right. Because
I know Michael Carrick is actually a big fan of the podcast, and we're a big fan of Michael Carrick as well. So I'm sure he will go around and give Matt a good old massage to make him feel better.
Oh, well, there we go. It's even better. A lovely massage from Michael. Yeah. What more could you want than that?
A bit of snooker extra there for you.
Would you rather be massaged by Michael Carrick or Steve McLaren?
I'm going to throw Gareth Southgate in there as well, Tom.
Oh, if he's got his waistcoat
Aitor
on.
Karanka, all these Middlesbrough legends. Chris Wilder, I'm sure Matt loves a bit of Chris Wilder.
In my head, I just thought Chris Wakelin, and I thought he'd be a good manager.
He does have that look, doesn't he?
There you
go.
Bald man. That's any manager is a bald man.
Bald man, yeah. But there you go. There's our Fanjeng email for this episode. If you do want to get in touch, then you've got all the links down below, snookerloopypodcast@gmail.com, or you can message Tom or myself on our various platforms. Get involved down in the comments section and all of that good stuff. We really do appreciate your support throughout the World Championship and just throughout the podcast in general. We're 69 episodes in now, Tom. We are sort of getting towards that big three-figure thing called a century.
Turn up! We're getting towards the turn up.
Turn up! Oh yes, there has been a guy with an incredible mustache that has been going, sitting in the Crucible this year with one of those Betfred signs.
I saw him, and it's so funny because it still says Betfred, but they still show it on the TV occasionally.
He was there when we went, actually, and I need to keep an eye out on eBay for one of them so that we can go, turn up! Because John Virgo used to love it when it came up. He used to always just scream it when it happened. That was brilliant. But do get in touch.
Do you reckon there's been anyone who their granddads turned 100 and they've turned up on the birthday? They've got the sign. They go, turn up!
You know what? I really hope so. I really hope so. And hopefully when John Virgo turns 100, we can be there to do that for him.
Yes, that'd be the dream come true. Me and you there. And he gets a letter from the king saying, turn up!
Turn up! Where's the cue ball going? Well, Tom, that might be a good place, actually. A good segue into our other regular segment, which we are going to do today. A bit of a bumper episode for our World Championship preview. Our World Championship final preview. Shall we cue the laughter, Tom?
Let's do it. And Joe has found the things. Today I found the Joe Johnson song. So Joe has brought the Cue the Laughter. And I'm very intrigued. He's not given me any clues whatsoever.
So, I was just scrolling on Twitter before. And to be honest, I saw this and I thought, well, this is going to be a great fit for not only Cue the Laughter, but also a bit of a bonus Cue the Music, Tom. And somebody has put together a little song for what would be the John Virgo musical.
What? What?
John Virgo the musical. So this is about a 30-second clip. And I thought we might as well have a little listen to it, Tom. We can even give it a ranking for Cue the Music. But
I just saw the picture.
Hopefully this is good. But I bookmarked it? I haven't listened to any of it yet. This is a world exclusive for us, Tom. Shall we give it a go?
I mean, yes, please. Yes, please.
So this is John Virgo. The musical. Where's the cue ball going?
Where's the cue ball going? The cue ball going. Inch perfect, there's always a gap. Oh, the things that can happen on a 12x6. At this rate, I won't get home for fucking match of the day. Where's the cue ball going?
There you go, Tom. There you go.
I wanted more. I
know. I know. I don't exactly know where this thing came from. I just seen somebody post it on Twitter, but it's I mean, it sounds like something that we would do it, doesn't it? To be quite honest with you.
I wonder whether it's AI, I can't imagine someone actually singing that, but like an American.
Yeah. I mean, they I mean, on this site they've also got Dennis Taylor's new album.
Oh my gosh! Special offer, compact disc or double length cassette. Okay, so is this the same person who's created this?
Yes, it is. Yeah. And so this is from a fellow podcast, I think, the Snooker Podcast. I don't know how familiar you are with them, Tom, but
I've heard that they're like another comedy snooker podcast, but they're far less regular. They'll be like once a year. They'll pop up and do something, but they're funny. I like them. Good lads.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, they have also put together, Tom, a Dennis Taylor album. So shall we give this a listen?
I'm scared, but okay.
The dreaded DDK, you only settle when you have one frame on the board. Oh, look, there's Patsy Fagan. No, it's not.
God. Well, Tom, I think they should have had "There's Vicky" in there, shouldn't they?
Where's the Evening Hazel? I want that.
Evening Hazel. Well, clearly they're not true fans of Dennis Taylor, are they?
No. Good evening, Hazel.
Yeah.
Welcome to my club.
Good evening, Hazel. Good evening, everybody at home. Maybe we should do a rival Dennis Taylor album. The dreaded DDK. And there is Vicky with Patsy Fagan.
I think that would sound better than the one we've just heard. So I want that version. I want Joe as Dennis Taylor singing that, and we can put it on YouTube. We'll send it to Dennis and go, "What do you think, Dennis?"
What do you think, Dan?
Well,
I think it's absolutely spot on, Tom.
Oh, I thought he was going to go, "Well, I'm not sure what to make of this request, but I know you're Snooker Loopy."
I know you're Snooker Loopy nuts, so I'll give it a go. But there you go, Tom. So I think, as it is a bit musical, Tom, I think we've got to give it a rating for Cue the Music. This is uncharted territory. We're gonna have Cue the Music ratings in Cue the Laughter. It's all going on. So the JV musical, Tom, and I'm gonna call it by the Snooker Podcast. I mean, what did you think about it? Did you think it was worth listening to again?
I mean, yeah, I wish it was longer, and I wonder whether it's because whatever software they're using, maybe it has to be only 30 seconds or something.
Yeah.
I would be intrigued to hear what they do if they did a whole album or a whole a whole
Where's the
musical.
cue ball going?
But maybe we could do it better. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we could. Maybe
we'll steal their ideas, Tom. We'll edit all of this out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, that's the end of the podcast. Oh, no cue after this episode. So sorry, guys. We were going to do one, but do you know what I mean? We got. Look at the time. We're running out of time. No time for cue laughter. So, but hey, me and Joe have got exciting plans for a musical idea of our own.
There's always a gap. Except when there isn't.
I mean, I do think this version's better.
Hang on. You can't do that. What I've particularly loved this tournament, Tom, is John Virgo when he's gone, no. And he just he just sounds so disgusted. There was a moment the other day when somebody was getting out of a snooker. I think it was Judd Trump, and I think it was Zhao Xintong actually, and he'd missed it twice. And he was going, he won't be warned, of course, because he can't see a red. And then Leo Scullion looked at Zhao Xintong and was like, I'll have to warn you, if you miss it a third time. John Virgo's going, no. And then he was like, he can't see a red, actually, my mistake.
That made me laugh. I love it.
I was wrong. Right. So, you know what? I thought it was quite funny, actually, the JV one. I'm going to give it a solid 6, Tom.
I'm going to give it... Well, are we rating them separately? Or...
Yeah, we'll rate them separately.
I'd probably give them both a 5,
A 5, okay. I'm giving the Dennis one. I'm definitely giving the Dennis one lower than the JV one. I think there was far more you could have had in the Dennis one.
Because I did enjoy them, and it's a very funny idea, but I just they're very short, and it always feels like a bit of a disservice to some of the other songs if we're going. Oh yeah, this 30-second clip is not quite a full song, and if you said to me, "Oh, there's a John Virgo the musical," I go, "Wow, is it a 10 songs? Is it an album? Do I have?" And then you go, "Oh, I want more. I want more of this stuff. I want." I just think if someone actually did it and actually wrote it and had people doing it on stage, it'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Very niche. It would lose a lot of money, but I'd enjoy it.
We'd enjoy it. So the JV musical slips in at number 45 beneath Catch the Pigeon by Ken Doherty. And the Dennis album goes in just beneath it, actually, ahead of the Romford Rap by the Matchroom Mob.
Wow. I forgot how much we hated that. And that was a full song.
Yeah. But now, Tom, we've got 56 Cue the Music's ranked. 56. I mean, can you get your breath? How did they not put Can You Get Your Breath in there? And this young Chinese player.
I mean, to be fair, I think is the whole sort of use of AI and stuff is quite interesting for stuff like this. But I'd be happy if it was just a remix with all the actual voice snippets. Like, do you know what I mean? Just like what Banksy did, where he had the actual voice clips sort of melded in with the poem and all that. Something like that, I'd be well on board of just like a John Virgo megamix or a Dennis Taylor megamix.
You're just saying this live on the podcast, Tom, so that Banksy actually goes away and does this. I know your game.
I'm not saying that Banksy could, create the best song we've ever heard on Cue the Music. I'm just saying, if there was a 10-minute John Virgo and Dennis Taylor megamix, I think it would be very popular amongst me and Joe and the listeners.
Yes, particularly me and Tom.
I just think the world's crying out for it, and I don't know if it exists. I've not seen it, so hey, Banksy, if you've got 6 hours free and fancy knocking that together, we'd like it.
Yeah, knocking that one out. Yes, anyway.
Welcome to Snooker Extra.
Yeah. He's just got his Q arm going, Hazel.
Oh, there was someone who commented on the YouTube clip of Dennis singing Snooker Loopy, and they said they always had schoolyard laughs about the phrase, "We'll show you what we can do with a load of balls and a snooker cue." And that is a great line, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, isn't that what John Virgo said in the intro? That we've got that. Great lines.
Oh, we still need to get him to do Big Break. I'd love him to do that.
Oh, we will absolutely. We've got so much up our sleeves, and I think that's what's so great about this our podcast is that we just love doing it, and it is just us having a chat, and we just so many silly things that we can find that nobody else seems to care about, but we love it. But hopefully you guys enjoy listening to it as well, and what I'm hopeful for over this next couple of days, Tom, is another World Championship wrap like we had last year by K. Dot.
Well, actually, this is something I was actually thinking about earlier today, because there was a really nice feature during the
I know exactly what you're going to say.
The one that was about sort of like sustainability or going around Sheffield. Did you see that one?
Oh, it wasn't that one. No, but I did see that one. That wasn't the one I thought you were going to talk about.
Oh, well, I enjoyed that because it had.
Yeah, I did as well.
It had that's where I called you Ken's Little Helper, because that was Rishi's nickname. Rishi's got his own snooker name, which is Ken's Little Helper, which I quite liked. And what was Sean called? Sean was called like something Babe or something. What was it?
I can't remember.
It was something. I can't remember what it was.
Green Babe or something like that, you know.
But I enjoyed that feature. But then the BBC don't do anything with it. They don't put it on YouTube. But I'm just like, well, that's why we have to put it on our channel, because there's literally tens of thousands of hours of content that they're not doing anything with. And I'm like, why is there not a BBC YouTube channel, a BBC Snooker YouTube channel with all these features and all these things? It just seems a bit wasteful. But what was the feature you thought I was going to mention?
There was a feature in the mid-session interval this morning about players' walk-on songs. It gave me an idea of when we finally run out of Cue the Musics, Tom, we can then rate all of the players' walk-on songs. So, and maybe it could be linked to whoever the nickname is at the start. But
that's a good idea.
But there you go. There you go.
But some of them they've got the same walk-on song forever. But some of them seem to change. But that was a thing. Mark Williams said that one of the ways he warms up for his matches was he sings Tom Jones in his dressing room. Yeah, and I was like, we need a recording of that. Then we've got Willow in Cue. We need a recording of him singing Delilah. We need that. Like,
we need him.
Knows Lee Walker and can just like sneak a phone in and just record him. Because apparently he just listens to it on a loop and just sings it. And I think that would be fascinating. If anyone knows how to get that, please, anyone, if you work at the Crucible...
Evening, Lee. Evening, everybody at home.
If anyone knows how we can get that, because then we'd have all of the class of '92 ticked off. Because John Higgins sings one line in,
of course,
one of those songs
in the coronavirus Snooker Aid. That's it, Snooker Aid. Yeah. No, that's going to be absolutely cracking. So. One thing I have been disappointed about this year, Tom, is I don't seem to have seen any pot quiz this year. So I don't think there's been any sort of feature like that. There's been no quiz or, sort of commentators challenge this year, which I think is a real shame.
I feel like, the features have been a bit stripped back this year, which has been a shame because there's not been as many as...
Yeah. I guess it has been a new production company, hasn't it? So
yeah, but I don't know. I just you need that kind of silliness and that character, that nonsense. That's what I kind of want. Like there was an interval the other day where they just went, "Oh, and here's a clip of Mark Allen's 147," and they just showed the whole break. And yes, it was an amazing break, but in the age of YouTube, you don't need them to repeat it. You want to see something original and new, and I just feel like they just went, we can just put highlights from a previous match. So you just go like, no, don't. We
Yeah.
want you want new content for the people who watch every hour. There needs to be new content. You can't just go watch this bit you saw yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. But no, well, hopefully there'll be some nice features over the final. I'm sure there will be. There always is. So looking forward to that nonetheless. And we will be back perhaps tomorrow for a roundup of day one of the final, or perhaps in a few days to round up the whole championship. But it has been an absolute pleasure to get to this point. Thank you very much for everybody that's kept up with the almost daily roundups throughout the championship. I think we've done a good 14 or so of the 16 days, so I think we'll settle for that. And remember, folks, there's always a gap, so we couldn't do every day.
No, that's why we did it. There's
always a gap.
There's a gap.
There's always a gap. But yeah, get in touch on the links down below. We do want to hear from as many of you as possible. It is lovely to hear from you, and really building up a picture of that community that had just sat down with a cup of cocoa and a cucumber sandwich, listening to us waffle on for an hour and a half. But we really do appreciate it.
Absolutely, and please do share it with anyone and comment and let us know anything you'd like us to discuss. Obviously, any fan-sharing email, we always read it out, more or less always. Apart from that one, that was a guy who was going, I live in China, can you tell me how to steal the BBC coverage? And we were like, what? No.
Yeah, well, Tom suggested that he would. Tom would tell him off camera, because we can't do that on camera, otherwise we'll be arrested.
Yes, that's very true. So we'll let you know, mate. Well, for the final, you'll be wanting to watch it. So.
Yeah, but any final words, Tom?
Well, just I imagine it'll be, another hugely watched final in China. The only other example, of course, is Ding reaching the World Championship final, and it'd be a good barometer of the popularity of the sport over there and how much it's changed over the past 10 years or so, because will it be even more than the 110 million or whatever it was who watched Ding, or will it be less, or who knows? It'll be quite interesting to see what figures come in.
Absolutely, but all of that is to come. So we will see you when we see you next. Say goodnight, JV.
Good night, JV.